Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Brian Shapiro.
What's up, Vegas? It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, brought to you by the Wager Fund. Glad you could join us. Wrapping up the week. Well, we do have another show tomorrow, JD, but it does feel like Friday. It's Thursday, believe it or not. But we got a big show today. A lot of great guests coming up at just a few minutes. We will be speaking with Mike Babcock, TMZ Sports. Say that name 5 times in a row, JD. I don't know. I don't think I might break some FCC violations if I say that name too many times.
No chance I can do that.
Happy to say that TMZ will be joining us every Thursday. And, man, we got some crazy stories, including Urban Meyer. We talked about it yesterday. But an OSU legend sounding off on Urban Meyer. We'll get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. The bottom of the hour, we're going to be speaking to one of my favorite politicians. I don't even think of him as a politician, JD. Oscar Goodman. And Oscar gave me a call a few days ago. He said, "Hey, Brian, I'd love to come on your show. Congratulations on the new show. Just one problem, I might be drunk." I said, "Oscar, that's not a problem. That's great. That'll be for a great interview." I don't know how many martinis Oscar Goodman will have in his system, but we will find out. You're this professional sports handicapper. Can you set a line on how many martinis? What is the over-under?
When did he say he was going to start drinking?
He said he was going to start drinking at about 5 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken.
Over, under 3.
Having a former mayor on the show live, and if he's possibly drunk, that will hopefully make for great radio. But joining us right now on the line, happy to say first time, and he'll be joining us every week, be Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Mike, I appreciate you coming on, my man. How you doing?
Brian, Jason, thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me.
I appreciate it. And a lot of crazy stories to get to, Michael, as you guys are working on them every single day. All right, let's start with the story that made national headlines this week, Urban Meyer, and he's on, obviously, paid administrative leave right now. Isn't it true that you actually got in touch with an OSU legend, and he just sounded off on Urban Meyer? What do you got for us?
Yeah, Beanie Wells, like you said, Ohio State legend. Wanted to talk to somebody that went to the school, was still very connected at the university, and called Beanie up, and he surprised me. He had a really strong take. He wasn't protecting Urban Meyer at all. He said once they do this investigation, if there is no doubt that Urban Meyer knew about these domestic violence allegations, he needs to be fired.
Wow. Are you surprised that he didn't defend his former coach?
I was surprised that he didn't try to offer him some type of cover and, let's wait and see what the investigation shows. He was very decisive with his take. He said, not only is it the right thing to do, but from a business standpoint, this is not good business-wise because you're going to have organizations. You have women's rights. You have, people who advocate against domestic violence. And you're going to have all these people who are going to be very angry with Ohio State. And it's not good business-wise either to anger those people. So he was very decisive, though.
Besides Beanie Wells, have you seen on social media any other former players that are sounding off the way he has?
I have not. He's really the one guy that I've seen, take a hard line. I've seen a lot of reaction. I've seen a lot of fans who I think oftentimes they care more about winning games, and we know what type of coach Urban Meyer is. And I understand from that standpoint, you want to win football games, so you don't want to lose this guy who is a top 3 college football coach. But no players have I seen really take that hard line like Beanie did.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Now, I gave, since we are in Vegas, Mike, I gave an over-under yesterday, 24 to 48 hours before he loses his job. It's been 24 hours, but the fact that it's an quote-unquote ongoing investigation leads me to believe that the over is going to come in. We might not see something happen until next week. What's the buzz there at TMZ Sports there? I mean, what do you see happening here? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I don't anticipate that it would happen that soon. I think that they're going to really dig in here, and I think they're going to want to find a reason to keep him because I don't think logic would dictate they don't want to get rid of him. So I think it's going to be something that would drag on, further than 1 to 2 days here. But I would expect they'd want to come up with a conclusion fairly soon, being that the season's obviously approaching.
Mike, JD here. Say they do fire Urban Meyer. Do they go after a new coach? Do they keep their staff? What do you think they do?
I don't know. I think it's difficult when you're in training camp here and have to make this switch. This is clearly not the time that you want to switch coaches and bring in somebody who has to implement the new system. So maybe it's a situation where they there's an interim coach and then they go find somebody, big next season. But this is not the time that you want to make this change.
Well, as I said, maybe Urban Meyer will be the next UNLV head football coach. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
You guys would like that, right?
Oh, are you kidding me? I want Urban Meyer as our football coach. I want Rick Pitino as our basketball coach. But anyway, that's another story, for another show. But, two NBA players that are not extremely well-liked throughout the country. Obviously, and in Oakland, they love Draymond Green. He's helped them win championships. He also helped them lose a championship. And then Tristan Thompson, who is making boatloads of money and, in my opinion, just stealing money, just absolutely stealing money.
He's such a thief.
Yes, he is. Well, and he's also a cheater. Just ask the Kardashians how that went down. But apparently, these two guys got into it. They got into a little altercation. What can you tell us about this?
Yeah, that's the story that's out there. So back July 18th, the night of the ESPYs, LeBron James and his uninterrupted platform, they had a big party. Lots of celebrities were there, and they went to a place called Delilah in L.A., celebrity hotspot, and there were these reports out there that Tristan and Draymond, who obviously have this beef with each other, got into a physical altercation. And if you read the reports, the scene played out like Tristan walked up to Draymond and punched him in the face and essentially beat him up. Well, we talked to people who were inside that party, and from what we were told, that's not what happened at all. We were told that there was not a physical altercation. We were told that yes, Draymond did approach Tristan. He wanted to make peace with him. It was heated at first, from what we were told, but by the end of the conversation, they had actually pieced it up and squashed their beef, and nobody was hurt, nobody was punched. There was nothing physical that happened.
Oh, that's too bad.
That was very different than right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to watch those two guys go at it, but it didn't happen in Delilah, from what we were told.
If Tristan Thompson threw a punch, even if it didn't connect, I think Draymond Green would fly to the ground and flop, and then he'd be looking at an official like a Kenny Mauer for a foul to be called. That's what I think would have happened.
He'd be looking at his date or his wife.
Yeah, unbelievable. So what? By the way, speaking of Tristan Thompson, what is the situation with the Kardashians now? I mean, are they even talking at this point? He's got a child. He's a father. Are they on good speaking terms right now? What's going on with that?
Yeah, from what I know, and keep in mind I have focused primarily on sports, but from what I know, being around the office, they do communicate with each other. He is there for the baby. As far as the nitty gritty of the relationship, who knows what's actually going on inside and how they really feel about each other. We obviously know the whole cheating thing unfolded in front of the entire world, but I do know that he has been a presence in the kid's life, which is obviously what you want to see.
Do you think he scored more points in the playoffs or cheated on more women during that time frame? I don't know. I think that's a tough
he
one.
didn't score that many points.
Right. So the latter, obviously. Right. Of course.
Like 6 a game, 4 to 6 a game.
So unbelievable, man.
He might have played less minutes than women that he got with.
Yeah, well, he should be thanking LeBron James for that contract he got. I'll tell you that right now, because he, in my opinion, he doesn't even deserve 10% of what that contract is. But on to our last story, and if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Michael Babcock from TMZ Sports. Okay, Mike, what is the deal with this Kaepernick-Madden situation where Kaepernick apparently is in one of these songs in this game, and they had to take it out, and now there's this whole thing going on about what can you tell us about this situation?
Yeah, this was the craziest thing of the day. So this Madden 19, which we know arguably the most popular, successful sports franchise video game ever created, it's coming out next week. And it was revealed today. There's a song called Big Bank. It's by YG, 2 Chainz, Nicki Minaj, and Big Sean.
Oh, of course, that's in my iPod. Absolutely.
Right, your favorite song, I know.
Absolutely.
One of the verses, Big Sean says Colin Kaepernick's name. In the Madden game, they have this song, Big Bank. However, they edited out Colin Kaepernick's name, so it's just a dead spot in the song. So people find out today, and this thing just starts, flying through social media. And, I'm on the phone. I'm trying to get in touch with the NFL. I'm trying to get in touch with EA Sports and people that I can normally get on the phone pretty quick. Nobody's answering the phone. We talk to YG. We talk to all the artists in this song. And to a person, they said, I have no idea. We want answers. We didn't give permission for them to do this. We support Colin Kaepernick. And so they were pissed. And finally, actually, just a couple minutes ago, EA Sports has now apologized, and they've essentially blamed it on a miscommunication. They said that while they knew as far as rights went, they weren't allowed to put Colin Kaepernick in the game as a player, they also interpreted that to mean that they couldn't use his name in the song, and that's why they took his name out of the song. And they have now vowed to send out an update, and they are going to put the song back the way it was intended to be heard, and Colin Kaepernick's name will be in the game.
I wonder if they didn't put his name in that song, if all musicians across the planet would take a knee. I wonder if there would be like some sort of strike or something. We haven't heard a lot about Colin Kaepernick lately, and, he used to party a lot in Las Vegas. Do you know if he's still coming out here and partying it up? Because he used to go to the pool parties a lot. He's ripped. Is he still doing that? Is he making any public appearances at all? Or last I heard that he was, the Seattle Seahawks and a few other teams were maybe interested in bringing him to camp, but that never came about. What has Colin Kaepernick been up to lately?
Yeah, I haven't seen any indication or heard that he's been partying. Like you said, typically when somebody goes out, everyone has a camera now, so people will contact us and say, hey, this person was having a good time at so-and-so club, but I haven't heard any of that. I've seen that he has been training. People I've talked to said he is still training, and despite the fact that he doesn't really go out there and express that he wants to be part of an NFL team, that he really still is committed to playing, and he has been training. But I think he's very focused on the message that he's trying to spread now, and I think he's kind of moved on. He has a girlfriend. He goes out with a radio DJ, Nessa, in New York, and I think he's pretty focused on, one, playing football, and two, advancing his cause.
Wow. Well, you know what? I wish him the best, and whether he plays or not, obviously he's done more good, I think, than bad. There's no question about it in raising this issue, no doubt.
He could come back as a D end or a tight end.
Possible, but I would say unlikely, right?
I would think probably not. He's got the body, though, for it.
He does.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Hey, Mike, we really appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to you coming on every week with us every Thursday. Great job, my friend. Please say hello to Evan Rosenblum, my boy out there. You guys do a great job, and it's amazing what TMZ has every year in and year out. You guys just do a fantastic job. It just gets better and better. Thanks for coming on.
Brian, Jason, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks,
you. Mike.
There you go. Michael
Bye-bye.
Babcock from TMZ Sports joining us, and he will be joining us every Thursday. It's a fun little segment. I enjoy it. And I do think if Draymond Green got into an all-out brawl with Tristan Thompson, I'm going to take Tristan Thompson because I think he's faster. I think Draymond's thicker. I think Tristan Thompson is faster. And I'm going to go with the Kardashian boy over there. Do you disagree with that, JD?
Wholeheartedly. I think Draymond Green wins that by a landslide. He's a great defensive player. He's got really, really long arms, and he is thicker. And I think he's a little meaner, too. Actually, right. I know he's a little meaner.
Well, maybe we can get those guys to battle it out in the ring one of these days. We'll see how that goes. But Urban Meyer, as we mentioned, is still on paid leave. It's only been 24 hours, so it hasn't been a long time. And the university obviously needs to, go. They call it an ongoing investigation. We all know what's transpired here. Anyone with any logic knows that he had to have the information of what was going on with his assistant coach. Are you surprised that there are still people out there that not many, but there are some people out there that are giving Urban Meyer still the benefit of the doubt?
I mean, I've seen some Ohio State fans on social media just basically out of sheer denial. But the truth is, Ohio State is much bigger than Urban Meyer, and that's what it comes down to, and that's why he's going to get fired. He's messing. The Me Too element of this is huge. The Title IX element is huge. And Mike was totally right. There will be a massive backlash from all these different groups if Urban Meyer maintains his job. And really, Ohio State doesn't need him that much. He needs them more than they need him, in my opinion.
And I agree. Let me pose this question to you guys out there listening, and then I'll give out the phone number. If a coach at your university, or maybe not even a coach, let's just say a professor or somebody working at the university, one of your assistants, it could be an assistant coach, it could be an assistant professor, whatever the case may be, If you have knowledge, okay, beyond a reasonable doubt, if you have knowledge that that person that is working underneath you has serious, very serious allegations of domestic abuse, and you lie about it and you keep it within you, similar to what Paterno did, and you don't disclose it to anybody, and throughout the process, even after it's discovered, you say you knew nothing about it, and then all these new revelations come out about his wife and the text messages, and you know this is going on, and you lie and you keep it to yourself, what should be the punishment? Do you think the punishment should be termination? Should it be suspension? Or since he didn't throw any punches and he didn't assault anybody, leave it as is. The number to call, I want to know what you guys think out there, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call if you want to be a part of the program. What do you think should happen to Urban Meyer? Should he be fired because one of his assistant coaches, and he knew exactly what was going on, in my opinion, we don't know that 100%, but any logical person will tell you he had to have known what was going on, and he kept it to himself. That number again, 257-5396, 257-5396 is the number to call. There is no doubt in my mind that he is going to lose his job. There is no doubt in my mind that he will find a job elsewhere. But, JD, do you think that he deserves to be fired? And then if and when he is fired, and I think it's just a matter of time, do you think he deserves to coach elsewhere?
He will get fired, and there is more information that came out today. So the Zach Smith guy is Earl Bruce. Earl Bruce, he is the grandson of Earl Bruce, who was a major Ohio State player back in the day, who Urban Meyer considered to be his second most influential person in his life. And I think that's why he protected this kid or this guy. It was because of Earl Bruce, the fact that he was related to him. I think that he will get hired somewhere else, and he should. And he'll be a great coach wherever he goes, and he probably won't make this mistake again. Because he didn't do it. But as far as is he done at Ohio State, he is 100% finished at Ohio State.
Well, look, Joe Paterno didn't do it either. He didn't molest anybody. But as far as I'm concerned, Joe Paterno, what he did is right there with Sandusky because he was an enabler. And to me, an enabler, it's kind of like if you know somebody that's robbing a bank and you're willing to give them a ride afterwards. You know, I mean, to me, that's the extent of this. I think it really is that bad, at least in the Paterno situation. In this situation, maybe not that bad, but we all know people lie, but this is a very, very big lie. It's a lie that he cannot get away from. It's a lie that, look, no matter where he goes the rest of his career, people are going to remember this.
Yeah, this will follow him for sure.
It absolutely is going to follow him, and guess what? It should follow him. This isn't breaking an NCAA violation, a recruiting violation. That happens all the time. This is far worse and more serious, and I don't care why or his reasons for wanting to cover up for this bastard who did this. I don't care. I don't care what his reasons are. There's no logical reason for it. You can't do it, period. You can't do it. And the university needs to work swiftly on this. And I was talking to a few people about this athletic director who seems to be a pretty strong athletic director. You have to get this over with, and you have to get this done within the next week. Is that fair to say that? By next week, by Friday of next week, you need to come up with some sort of punishment. If you want to suspend him for a year or 6 months or whatever, you do it. If you're going to fire him, you do that. But enough with the waiting already. It's getting worse and worse with social media and everything else that's going on. It blew up. People are talking about it every day, and rightfully so. It's a huge story with one of the best college football coaches out there. But this needs to end, and it needs to end swiftly. And I'm going to say by next week. Do you think that's fair?
Well, football season starts early September. I think within 2 weeks, it'll 100% be done. And yeah, the sooner the better, obviously, for recruiting purposes, for these players knowing who their coach is, for purposes, for naming an interim coach and having some confidence in him for the purpose of that. So, yeah, it needs to get done sooner than later.
Here's what I don't get. Did he not think that this would ever come out? He had to have known. He had to have said to his wife, look, eventually we're going to get busted for this. He had to have said that. Because he doesn't strike me as an extremely dumb individual. He seems to be a pretty smart guy and a hell of a football coach. What was he thinking? To just keep this for years and lie to us, lie to the media, lie to the fans, lie to the university.
He was thinking, I'm Urban Meyer, and everybody backs me. The university supports me. This isn't going to come out. I've done this before with Florida and other universities that I've been at. And I'm honestly, I've been told that the PD in Columbus has been protecting this guy for a while too, because his grandfather was a former coach at Ohio State.
Really?
Yep.
Where did you hear? I did not know that.
Got a couple of sources.
You have some sources. Oh, okay. You're not going to share them with Shapiro. Okay, that's fine. I'm just your co-host. That's all. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. No, but in closing with this stuff needs to stop in our society. It needs to stop. Just because you're a college football coach doesn't make you above the law. We learned that with Paterno. I don't care what your position is. I don't care where you are. The bottom line is you absolutely have to do the right thing in these circumstances. And, we had it with Jim Boeheim also. Boeheim was just in town for USA Basketball, where one of his assistant coaches was doing some just horrific things to young kids. And I don't know if Jim Boeheim knew about it or not, but how do you not? How do you not know these things? Especially when your wife absolutely 100% knows about it based on text messages. You absolutely have to do the right thing in this circumstance. It's it's about money and winning games. I get that, but be a human being. Do the right thing.
There was a lot of evidence. Mick Murphy, who dropped the story, said there was so much evidence that there is no way that it couldn't be true. There was so much evidence that the wife, they were accusing her of manufacturing text messages and creating all these things. He said, no, there was so much evidence it would have taken her years and years and years to do this.
Well, again, we'll have to wait and see how this plays out. But I said 24 to 48 hours, and we just had Mike Babcock on from TMZ Sports, who says, it's going to take a little bit longer than that. Because of the ongoing investigation, you have to go through the red tape. But I think Meyer is absolutely done. And guess what? Don't feel sorry for the guy at all. Absolutely not. So I got a phone call the other day from former mayor of Las Vegas, Oscar Goodman. And he said, Brian, I'd love to come on your show, but there's going to be one problem. I start drinking my martinis at 5 o'clock. I said, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Come on the show, and we'll see how many martinis Oscar Goodman has in the system. But I've been wanting to get Oscar on the show for a very, very, very long time. One of my favorite mayors, probably my favorite mayor of all time. So we'll be joined by Oscar Goodman live coming up next right here on the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN. Be back right after this.